government in general is given the responsibility to lead its people to progress. Yet, it is the local government units that are mandated to provide basic services to its people: access to education, potable water, proper sanitation, electricity, disaster prevention and rehabilitation measure, healthcare, adequate infrastructure. But progress doesn't come easy.
Kahit gaano kaganda ng plano, kung wala ka namang pondo, anong magagawa mo? Kasi at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, you will have to spend something for one to be able to implement the program.
The local government units, or LGUs, must be able to raise sufficient funds to provide for the basic needs of the community and to improve the living conditions of the people.
If local government unit cannot raise sufficient revenue for its operation, of course, it will affect the delivery of social services, infrastructure services, and of course the other governmental function that an LGU should provide its constituent.
For the local government units, there is hope. Under the Local Government Code of 1991, the LGU can raise its own revenue through economic enterprises, taxes such as real property tax, business tax, amusement tax, franchise tax, and charges and fees such as permit fees, public utility charges, toll fees, and others. Taxes are indeed the lifeblood of the nation. The taxes collected by the national and local governments are shared for the country's development. Local governments should tap available resources such as taxes. This will serve as foundation for the LGU's growth and development. Often, the LGUs depend on the national government support, primarily in the form of Internal Revenue Allotment, or IRA. In 2010, the average contribution of real property tax to total LGU income was only 6%, while IRA comprised around 77% of the total LGU income for provinces and municipalities and 43% for cities.
Kailangan ng isang local government ay mapalakas yung local revenue niya. Mahirap po kung asa lang po tayo ng asa sa Internal Revenue Allotment.
While LGUs have their rightful share to IRA, they should not depend on it alone to fund most of their local needs. They must be able to raise their own revenues to finance their development goals. LGUs can attain genuine and meaningful autonomy as envisioned by the LGC.
Less dependent on their IRA allotment from the national government. This is always a measure of progress of LGU by themselves through local sources.
So for local government units, we should really strive to make our revenue generation stronger so that the LGU will have ample funds to finance its development projects. And as a source of revenue, we can say that real property tax is one of the most stable sources of revenue for local government units.
Real property offers a vast potential for the government to generate income and increase productivity. As an asset, it provides the foundation for economic and social development of individuals. However, LGUs collect real property taxes below potential. Across many provinces and cities in the Philippines, there is a continuous decline in the number of LGUs complying with the general revision of SMVs. The average age of an SMV is about 15 years old already. Hence, the basis used by many LGUs is already obsolete and and outdated, leading to foregone revenues, lengthy court cases, and confusion in the real value of one's property. The SMVs, therefore, need to be updated. The SMVs is the basis for the computation of real property taxes or RPTs in the LGUs. The assessor computes the value of the property using the SMV. Then, the total value of the property is multiplied with the assessment level. The product is called the assessed value of the property. The assessed value is then multiplied with the tax rate to get the basic RPT. It is also used as benchmark for the computation of other land-related taxes and fees, such as capital gains taxes, documentary stamp taxes, and transferred taxes, as well as in determining just compensation, mortgage lease, agrarian reform, among many other uses requiring real property valuation base. Since the situation at the local level continuously changes, different localities have gone through either development or underdevelopment, which directly affects the value of real properties. One would wonder, what really is the value of my property? How come the value of my property that I assume differs from that of the bank, the assessor's office, from the Bureau of Internal Revenue, from the broker, among others? LGUs are tasked to update the SMV and conduct a general revision of property assessments every 3 years.
When we first started doing the SMB, which is I think in '94, the compliance was quite high. I think we were up in the 80%. But I think if you look at it now, we're down to single digits already.
Outdated SMVs may also result in inequitable distribution of tax burden.
Marami ang magiging result on inequitable collection, especially among taxpayer. Kasi yung properties na ganon pa rin remains agriculture, had not been revised for 15 years. Ang magiging bayad niya, supposedly, he should be paying now at least 10,000 annually. But because there is no revision at all, he's only paying 100 annually. Wow, that's a lot of discrepancy.
One good example is Santa Rosa City in the province of Laguna. It was a rural municipality when it developed and became a city in 2004. The city of Santa Rosa revised its SMV and was approved in 2011. If the local government units, however, will not be responsive to revise the SMV or consider the amnesty of taxes, they would, in effect, still oblige real property owners higher taxes, which is not only unfair but also an injustice to property owners. In one way or the other, a sound and correct SMV is essential in attaining fair property taxation and as basis in many other uses such as just compensation, mortgage, lease, insurance, and others. Under Component 4 of the Second Land Administration and Management Project, the Department of Finance, through the Bureau of Local Government Finance and the National Tax Research Center, and with support from AusAid and the World Bank, the government focused on introducing reforms in property valuation and the taxation sector.
Ang LAMP 2 project under the DOF, BLGF, and TRC, in-address yung mga identified problems ng ating local government. Una, sabi natin, lack of capability ng ating mga assessor. So nagkaroon tayo ng mga trainings. Pangalawa, nagbigay sila ng not only that training but also technical assistance in terms of equipments, in terms of programs, softwares.
Usually when you ask a local official that you would like to do a new valuation in the locality, he will ask you two questions. One is that how much taxes will I raise out of it? how much money will I spend as a result of the valuation, and what will BIR do in the context of the increase in property values. For the city of Naga, the last valuation that we did was in 1994. But then, every new turn of mine, we raise property taxes. So I guess the problem is both technical and political, and it's important for us to explain to the constituency that this is good for all of us.
In Naga City, the fear of political backlash and social resistance from the public was addressed through effective social marketing and information campaign of local officials. This is one critical element in pursuing the political side of the reforms.
We should tell also our local officials, if we will adopt a schedule of market value which is similar or almost the same as that of the prevailing market value, there are other benefits that the government, including the property owners, will get if local government units throughout the country will adopt that measure. One, of course, on the part of the government, aside from the real property tax, we have the capital gain. We have the documentary stamp tax. And on the part of the other agencies of the government, when we are, say, exercising the power of eminent domain, saro na sanaan, pwedeng bako ng gulpiyo na balyo anihilingong kanusgado in piging the just compensation of the property subject of the exercise of an eminent domain. So, on the part of the property owners, kung bibinta mo sa imong daga, igwa ka na ng base value. Halimbawa, igwa kang sarong hektarya. Aram mo na kung more or less guraano ang pwedeng kabaklan kan sa imong daga. Bakong gar ka mo naghahagol naon sa merkado na nagtatarawadan kung guraano ang barakalang kan daga. Because, as a property owner, igwa ka na ng base value. Aram mo na kung guraano ang kantidad kan sa imong daga. So, dahil ka na pwedeng sabihan kan si mga either di itong mabakal or other persons na aram lang kani ang kantidad dapat kan daga mo because igwa ka na ning idea of how much your property is at a particular period in time. So iyo man siguro yan ang sarong benepisyo kaniyong na pwede tang ma-derive out of the adoption of a new schedule of market values which is similar to that or nearer to that of the existing market value of all real properties within a certain locality.
So in 2009, the pilot reforms in Naga City was proven to be doable. From the technical side of correcting the values and doing field validation, to conducting tax impact studies as developed by the National Tax Research Center or NTRC, to the political side of setting tax rates by the elective officials, and ultimately the public accepting the new assessments.
Maraming epekto ang programang ito, lalo na yung valuation reform and taxation sa Naga City. No? Una, ang pagtaas ng ating koleksyon. Sa ngayon, ang ating koleksyon ay umaabot na sa mahigit na 150 million pesos because of these collections of property based on the valuation that we had. In fact, Naga is being considered as the number one in the Bicol region in terms of real property tax. We were able to increase also our collection efficiency after we have conducted this tax impact study and the tax compliance study, also done by our agency, the DOF, through the NTRC and the BLGF. Because of this, we were able to identify kung ano yung area ng Naga ang medyo kailangan tutukan pagdating ng koleksyon ng real properties. So, aside from that tangible increase, in fact, even without the general revision every year, we were able to collect our increase because ang ginawa ng Naga ay on a gradual or staggered basis yung ating implementation.
Based on records, comparing data in 2011 with that of 2012, particularly for the month of May, our collection compared to prior year has increased from 15.70 to at least 16%. That means that the increase in the zonal value, which is equivalent to the fair market value of the local government units, had really helped Naga City collect more tax. On the part of the BIR, especially our collectors, our examiners, the value that they are going to use, whether we check it with the zonal value as approved or with the fair market value of the local government unit, it is almost the same. So even if there are other documents that needs to be presented, but the value is exact, parehas, between that of the zonal value of BIR and that of the fair market value of the local government unit. This would make our computation much easier and collect the given tax.
Beyond revenues, the updating of property values also resulted in non-economic and social benefits.
Ako pa ay naniniwala na yung pag-aayos ng tunay na value ng property, ito ay magli-lead towards doon sa mithiin ng local government code na self-reliant community. Dahil ito ay magtataas ng income ng isang LGU, at lalong-lalo na doon sa real property tax. Ako'y naniniwala dito na ang pagtataas ng buwis ay kaakibat ito ng pagpapaganda ng serbisyo. Kung tataas mo yung buwis mo, magkakaroon ka ng sufficient o nararapat na resources para yung mithiin mo na ibigay na serbisyo sa iyong community ay magagampanan mo. Medyo mahirap lang siya dahil sa tingin palagi ng tao, ang pamahalaan ay kumukurakot at kumukuha at ninanakaw yung pera ng tao sa pamamaraan ng buwis. So mahalaga rin po yung pagtataas nito, ay yung buwis nito, kaakibat ito sa transparency dahil para mo mapapayag o makumbinsi yung mga tao na magtaas ng kanilang buwis, kailangan mo rin siyang buksan. At maging accountable kung paano ito gagastuhin. Dahil kung hindi, sa tingin ko, mahihirapan talaga tayo sa larangan ito.
In 2010, on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the Local Government Code, the DOF and DILG issued Joint Memorandum Circular Number 2010-01 to enjoin LGUs to revise their schedule of market values and to conduct general revision of property assessments. There are about 30 more cities and provinces using new SMVs, which are expected to result in increased revenues, greater equity in tax burden, and transparency in the valuation process. There is still much to be done, but these reforms can only be achieved if there is political will, people's support, and technical capacity.
So I think we have enough political capital to spend so that we'll be able to swing this. Because a weak mandate, I'm sure, will discourage anyone who's wanting to do a new valuation. I think a strong mandate is important, but the strong mandate really comes from the principle of spending political capital and earning it. I think politics is just like business. No? It's you invest some political capital to recover more political capital than spend it. They call it political will. No? But in our case, we are saying that as long as we're able to hit that 50% plus one at the end of the line, we'll be able to move it.